Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
R&R Racewear, your source to all custom racewear apparel needs, and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at rnrracewear.com.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. was unaware that flag is still there. It's our future to save, this land of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, say, just that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land of the free, in the home of the
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It's another beautiful evening for racing tonight from Daytona. Welcome to Season 6 for the IROC Challenge Series live from Daytona. We saw the shootout last week won by Ryan Crooks, and Byron Jones came in P2. So that's I believe how they're going to start. Might be a little bit of technical difficulty with that, but we will absolutely get into it. Definitely hope everybody out there is doing well. Robert Wells out there from EMGG says, Pete! Well, not only me, Robert, old Mao, but I've also got my sidekick. That's where I talk about the one and only KS Gaming 51, best known as Kurt Swatsworth. Kurt, welcome to the IROC Challenge Series. Welcome to Daytona. How you feeling, sir?
Well, Pete, I've been kind of going back and forth. First, thanks for having me in the booth. Thanks for Spartan to allow me to come in and be in the booth with you. And thanks to Byron for going to race so I could be here too. But I have been feeling very, very excited after last week's race that we did here at Daytona, which was just a practice style, get warmed up, everybody kind of do it. But you also had the advantage of getting the win or first and second being able to start towards the front. But I have been excited all day thinking about this race because tonight matters. We saw last week where it was excitement all over the place. Guys were making moves that I didn't even think they should be making at that point in the race, but they did it anyways. I think tonight's going to be even more of that. So if you're watching, stay tuned all race, stay glued to the TV, listen to Pete and myself, watch these guys race around. I think it's going to be a fantastic, exciting night.
Absolutely picking up with right now driver 3, last season's champion. Talking about the one and only Brian McCann. Got some new colors. Last season, this 3 was decked out like the Wrangler 3 of Earnhardt days of old. So we'll have to see if he can go back-to-back, pick up another championship. Last season, they ran in the Xfinity cars. This season, as you can see, they're running all Chevrolet Silverados. And just in true IROC form, every single one of these trucks is somewhat painted the same, I guess you could say. I mean, they've got different colors on them, but it's somewhat the same template as we see McCann come on down, and so far it looks like he's going to go ahead and slot himself into P1 with Kevin McCann, his brother, right now sitting P2, Dylan Dellinger P3, David Trumbley P4, and Peyton Davis P number 5. So last week we were talking about a couple, comers and goers, the people that really showed that they have what it takes to put on a great restrictor plate race for themselves. You still keeping an eye on certain people, or who you got tonight, Swats?
Well, I mean, I see a couple different people that were not in the race last week, so that's going to bring a little bit more of a challenge for me to pick somebody, but I mean, I got to go back with the guy that won last week's race. I mean, Ryan, I've watched him in SMB. I've watched him SMB, but I've watched him on Thursdays with SRN, I think is where we actually were watching him or something. But to me, he's next level. There's a lot of guys in here that are in that same kind of ballpark, but those guys that are what I call next level, they think ahead 6-7 positions. They think ahead of 6-7 moves. They think, 20 laps ahead. What do I got to do? Those guys that are really calculated with what they're doing, those are the guys I'm going to be watching. But I think I'm going to go up and obviously maybe not go out on a limb per se, but I'm going to go with Ryan tonight for sure. Hopefully I don't, mess him up with that old broadcaster's curse that a lot of these drivers go with, but that's who I'm going to go with. I think he showed me a lot last Thursday with how he made his way to the field, through the field, to get up there.
Well, we just we were just riding along with Ryan Crooks as he just slotted in to P number 9. Right now looks like we're keeping up with the 19 now of Byron Jones. He hasn't completed his first lap yet. He's still high, wide, and handsome on the track. Here he is going to go ahead and throw it down, keep it right on that butter, and try to stay as close to that line as possible through the curves. Out there in chat, of course, welcome back again, Jessica Stubblefield, talking about Let's Go Stubbs, pulling for the one and only driver 79 in his Silverado, not yet out on track. We'll kind of keep an eye out for him, though, let you know when he gets out there and see what he's capable of doing in his number 79 machine. We'll have to see. So far, 18 guys, Swats, have posted time. We should have just about 25 drivers, if not a little bit more, maybe 27 on track. And it looks like Byron didn't even get his time in. Qualifying is over. Got a 10-minute warm-up. Anybody? How about now that you could see, who's where as far as their qualifying times? Are you still kind of thinking about Mr. Crooks?
I mean, it's not going to change my mind. I'm looking at it's Daytona.
Fair enough.
Everybody's lap times are going to be right there near each other. And you know as well as I do, it does not matter where you start at Daytona. It doesn't matter if you start first. Doesn't matter if you start last. Doesn't matter if you start in the middle of the field. It does not matter because everything changes once you get in the draft. A single car out on track, sure, can lay down a fast lap. But that does not mean that you have the skill to be, keep a straight line or not make a mistake or not be in a crash that's not even something that you caused or anything like that. You could be in the back and wind up in an accident. So it doesn't change anything for me. Maybe halfway through the race, maybe I'll change my mind. But right now, I'm still going with Ryan. That's who I'm looking at. So that's where I'm going to stay. But Pete, I did want to mention to you, you just said about the paint schemes.
Yeah.
You and I, we come from the Xbox side, obviously. There was a league that we were in where we definitely did the IROC paint scheme with the limited amount of paint schemes that we could come up with on NASCAR Heat. So I am a huge fan of the IROC series, a huge fan of the paint schemes. I wish they would bring this back for real-life racing in NASCAR or the IROC series, whatever you want to call it. But those NASCAR drivers and other drivers that came in to race those, I wish they would bring that back, update the cars for sure. But I love those old styles of hearing them just scream. That 2000 to 2005 range where those cars were just screaming, whether it was IROC or NASCAR.
Yeah, I remember those races around Talladega. We did it for a very, very special cause. We did it for a little boy, I believe, with cancer, if I'm not mistaken. And that was a phenomenal time. I mean, they were 3 wide lap after lap after lap. And man, what it's actually still out there on my Twitch page, which, by the way, I actually just put your Twitch page and my Twitch page out there in chat. Please, if y'all would be so kind, please go ahead and smash on those links and hit them. Give a follow if you can. The IROC series on Thursday nights. I'm sorry, yeah, Thursday nights. IROC series on Thursday nights are not the only nights where Swats and I broadcast. These are one of the bigger races that we absolutely look forward to. With the Sport and Transportation LLC full sponsorship right along with R&R Racewear. So we definitely appreciate all the help, all the assistance. But yeah, we, like Swatch just said, we both come from the console side over on Xbox, coming up from NASCAR 09 all the way up through Heat 5 and so on. Been on iRacing now a few years, and man, Swats, there's no looking back as Kyle Pendergraft the owner of Loud Pedal Media, just going to P number 1.
Yeah, I mean, this warm-up here is going to show you a whole lot of how guys are able to draft and work with each other. But, I mean, yeah, P, the days of being on console, I mean, it was obviously different than what being on iRacing. Once NASCAR 5 kind of ended up our seasons and things like that within the leagues that we were in, and they were coming out with a new game that they were going to come out with, there was a lot of us that were skepticism on that. And a lot of us, I mean, COVID was getting ready to start or was starting, and a lot of us went out and bought PCs, and I've never looked back. I just, obviously, this isn't a plug, but I mean, it kind of is. I just put out a video that I did for a Xbox League. I had the hardest time going and finding footage from NASCAR Heat 5. I had to go and try to remember broadcasters and see if they were still broadcasting on NASCAR Heat to pull footage from Daytona so that I could give this video to the Top Gun Racing League that was over on Xbox. And it was tough. It took me like 5 days of searching through broadcasters to find them. So, I mean, once we all shifted over, it seems like everybody shifted to iRacing, and there was no better time to do it than right as COVID was hitting. And a lot of guys have since gone out and got computers. Obviously, prices are a little different than when we started getting those PCs. It was the right time to do it. I'm glad, and I definitely would never look back to going to console. And even the guy was like, well, can't you fire up your console and get on a NASCAR race and do it? And I was like, I don't even have my Xbox turned on. I don't even know when the last time it was turned on.
I definitely appreciate everybody that's out there in chat. Big welcome again to the IROC Challenge Series live from Daytona. Kurt, this is race number 1 officially as far as points go, and Daytona, a huge chess match all night long. We're going to have it looks like 27 truckers out here ready to fire up the season, and everybody that I talked to in pre-race was pretty much just saying we're going to have to try to get through this place. Nobody wants to start their season in any kind of a negative way. Over the last week, watching a lot of Daytona races and calling a lot of Daytona races, I saw my first truck last night get literally hung up in a fence. And I'm sure none of these guys want to end up like that. So chat, let me hear from you. I pretty much know who Robert Wells is going to choose for his driver, and obviously Jessica Stubblefield, her driver. But the rest of y'all, who do you have out there? Who's it going to be tonight? Who is going to put their chess piece in the right place at the right time and be able to capture the king when it all matters? And oh, by the way, we're talking about the king. We're talking about who is going to see that checkered flag first when they fly right underneath Barney and call this race official. We've got 80 laps in order to settle this dispute at Daytona. 200 miles is on tap, Kurt. And man, I cannot wait to kick this off, get the season underway. It's been a long time coming, or so it's felt like. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, and I mean, Pete, this is also the first official real race that we have called together for a while. So not only am I excited, and if everybody can't tell my excitement and Pete's excitement in our voices, we're definitely excited for this race, but I'm also excited to be back in the booth with you for a real live actual race that means something for us to call. And I obviously really appreciate you. Obviously there's been things going on with me personally the last couple weeks, and you were the one to come and see me, and you have no idea how much that means to me. So being back in the booth with you, it's a pleasure. It's always fun, and I am ecstatic to call these races with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season. I'm glad that you absolutely took me up on the offer after the one and only Byron Jones decided. He said, Pete, you know what? I got to get out there on track. Speaking of Byron Jones, there he is in that number 19 Spartan machine. So far, Byron is slotted P13 on speed. Not exactly in a draft. That's why he's not up there with like Bill Hales and Kyle Pendergraft, Robert Barney, Mike Koch, and Peyton Davis to round out your top 5. But he's still going to be great. I have no doubt in my mind. After we saw the field explode behind Ryan Crooks and Byron Jones last week, and they were able to come in 1-2, I knew that it was going to be one hell of a season for him. And in talking to some of the other guys, they were saying they're not going to take it easy on him. They're not going to, they're going to make sure that Byron is put through his paces and learns a lot. He's kind of a rookie to series or communities, clubs, or a league, kind of like IROC. Not many places do you have to go through and put a pretty decent amount down on yourself in order to, and not only put that money down and put it down on yourself, but have that kind of that kind of concentration all season long, that kind of commitment all season long, and be willing to be that confident to lay down a C note to try to win your share of $5,000 when it's all said and done 18 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, I mean, P, to me, there's no better confidence boost when you bet on yourself. Byron's doing that. Obviously, he was in the booth with last season for however many races he did, and he's betting on himself. He's got confidence right now. He's been doing very, very well in a lot of different leagues. And, I mean, there is a Rowdy Burns quote that I'd love to throw out here that I'm sure the veterans or the guys who have more experience than Byron are probably thinking is, I'm going to pull the rookie's chain. Byron essentially is a rookie with these guys. He's got one race with them. And I think last week they may have figured out that he is a good partner to run with. Ryan definitely figured that out as they went from the back to the front. Unfortunately, Byron got caught up in a mess as they were working their way to the front. But Ryan came to the front and took the win. So I think that maybe gave a little bit of an eye-opener for some of these guys that maybe thought, hey, he's a rookie. I don't know if I really want to work with a rookie that I don't know that well. But I think last week's race, not just for him, but some of these other guys in the leagues, it was a eye-opener to see who they will want to work with at the end. Who will they want to work with if they're stuck in the back? All of that comes into play tonight with strategies.
Absolutely. Looks like the warm-up clock is at 0, so we're about to kick off this race. They're all going to come on down pit road, either by force or by choice. And we're going to go ahead and light up 80 laps, 200 miles here at Daytona. Barney up there waving that checkered flag. So let's go ahead and pull up your grid for this evening right now. And, yeah, looks like Brian McCann, as we mentioned in that 3, he will be on pole with David Brown to his outside. Ryan Honeycutt, a little bit different from John Honeycutt in that number 18, sitting P3. Robert Barney out there in P4 in his number 16. P5 is going to be the 12 of Tim Schofield with Kevin McCann to round out row number 3. Row 4, talking about Neil Quick in that deuce. Gabe Ellison in 8th in his number 27. We're going to have Mike Koch in that 00 sitting P9. P10 is going to be Joshua Funkhauser in the 81. Cook Quick in the 23 sitting 11th. Dylan Dellinger to round out the top 12. And your row number 6, stand by. Come on. We're going to do this again, huh?
That's going to be Ryan Crooks, my pick, P. Yeah. And then I think it's Matt Henry sitting P14. Then you've got Vincent Short in P15. Kyle Pendergraph going to be 16. Peyton Davis is going to be in 17. David Trumbley in 18. Byron Jones in that 19 is going to be 19th. So starting off right where this number is. Brandon Medford is going to round out the top 20 people.
There we go. So all the way through 20. I apologize for technical difficulties right there with the grid. So we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and clear that out right now. And man, it's gonna be one hell of a race. Going down the backstretch, getting ready to go. Alexander Brown out there in chat says, "Let's go, Barney." And we're not talking about the flagman. We're talking about Robert Barney. That'll be starting P4. So he'll be starting on the outside. But right now, Brian McCann in this 3, right behind the pace car. They're going to go on green. But this track, unlike some others, Swats, you don't really want to get that big jump. Because if you get that jump, you're just a sitting duck for the rest of the field when they're all drafting back up to your back bumper and going ahead and passing them on by. Ryan Crooks to answer Robert Will's question out there. He's going to be starting about P14 as the pace car is going to go ahead and pull off. Let's get ready to roll. Here we go. Great flag.
Yeah, Pete, and as these guys are getting through the gears, they want to not miss any shifts so that they don't get stacked up. But it looks like everybody makes it through those gear shifts real quick, going into turn 1, 2x2, all the way through the field. The 9 is a little bit off the field. He's sitting back a little bit. Not sure what that's about, but he is sitting back just a little bit. Maybe he's a little cautious or trying to get a big run with the draft. But there's some other drivers in here, Pete. Bill Hales, I can't ever count him out at a super speedway. And obviously the Byron Jones we've been talking about. And Tim Stubberfield that we've got the chat person out there. He's starting towards the back in the 73, starting 24th tonight. So I expect those guys not to be sitting back there very long unless they're going to play out some sort of strategy to avoid the big one.
I'll tell you what, we got right off the bat, we got a new leader. Ryan Honeycutt's going to immediately go up 2 spots to take the lead. Coming across the start stripe for the first time, the 18 will grab at least 1 point right there. Robert Barney, David Brown, Kevin McCann, and Brian McCann going to round out your top 5. We'll go ahead and bring up all your tools that you're going to need for the full race. Let's go, Swats.
Yeah, and Pete, I'm not surprised Brian moved up in front real quick from E3 taking the lead. He was somebody I was watching last week when we did the broadcast on Thursday. That was very, very fast, very, very good. Worked his way through the field, got up front, led some laps. Unfortunately, got caught up in a mistake of somebody else's. Wasn't his draft. But he's another guy. There's so many guys in this field. It is a stacked field from top to bottom. There is no weak link in this field, in my opinion. I'm sure some drivers probably disagree based on how they drive next to him, but in my opinion as a broadcaster, Pete, there is a stacked field from top to bottom. Every one of these drivers is a skilled driver. Nobody spends $100 to race in this league to try to win $5,000 if they don't have a I don't have a chance to win. You're not going to blow $100, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, everybody's got the self-confidence. Everybody's a true competitor out here. And, I mean, that just goes to show for what you just said about putting down $100 on themselves. It's like going to the roulette wheel in Vegas, putting it down on black and knowing that's exactly what it's going to be. You don't question yourself that it's going to end up anywhere else. So, hey, that is what it is. And, man, so far, so good. Working lap number 4 of 80. Still caution-free. 18 has been able to keep the 7 of David Brown right behind him. Barney, who's got a fan out there from, again, Alexander Brown, right now sitting P number 3. Brian McCann, Joshua Funkhauser, Tim Schofield, Dylan Dellinger, Neil Quick, and Matt Henry to go through your top 10. But, oh, by the way, Swats, they still look like they just took the green side by side for the first 10 rows.
Yeah, it's going to look like this for a while, I think, until guys maybe either start pulling strategies or guys who let a lap and go to the back to try to get out of stuff. We should see 2x2 racing, maybe some 3-wide racing, hopefully not too early into this race because that's when things can make a mistake at Daytona. Talladega's a little different. You can make it 3-wide a lot easier. But I have a feeling we're going to be sitting 2x2. And even Ryan told us in his post-race interview, it is super hard to pass at Daytona in these trucks or any other vehicle on Daytona because there just isn't the room on the track to make the moves that you need to make. You can go 3-wide, but you better trust that guy next to you, and he better trust the guy on the inside of him as well. Yeah,
you better have all kinds of trust out here because I mean you're relying on that person behind you not to shove you. If you're third in line, you're worried you're not gonna, or that I'm sorry, the guy that's second in line, you're worried that the guy behind you is not gonna shove. One of the biggest rules that restrict the plate racing is don't push the pusher. You don't want to be too aggressive, as it looks like we got a challenge for the lead. Barney was just leading, but it looks like the 33, he's gonna go ahead and dive on under. That's Kevin McCann, brother to the other McCann that won the championship last week. And yeah, that's going to be Brian. As it looks like 18 is going to shoot the gap, jump on up one more time, side by side.
Yeah, that was probably a move that's a little early, but he made that move look very right back to not happy sitting where he was, which wasn't a bad position, but jumps right back to the lead now.
Yeah, right back in the lead. I mean, that just goes to show a lot of strength. He probably had just a little bit of a run, was able to time it perfectly, so put him back to the point. One thing I did notice about these trucks on the long run when running side by side is a lot of the momentum starts to shift up high. So we'll have to see if that outside line that still has a good 10 trucks in it will be able to move on up as the race goes on, and we'll start to see those people on the outside start to move on the inside, and that front line will get a little thin as the race goes on, blinking out just a little bit for Kevin McCann. So we'll go ahead and switch on over to Ryan Honeycutt, our leader, still currently our leader in that 18. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good, Pete. I'm kind of going through the paint schemes, and obviously I love the IROC paint scheme. I love the styling of it, where everybody kind of has similar paint scheme, just maybe a different base color or whatever. I like it. It's number 2 of Neil Quick, that teal kind of light blue seafoam color or whatever you want to call it, but I'm also partial to the neon green. So I'm kind of watching the 7 as well. The 3, he's worked his way right into the 7th spot, Brian McCann, which is our pole sitter, so he's fallen off the lead a little bit, but I'm loving these paint schemes. I'm loving that they're all coordinated besides the base paint color, essentially. It's really, really cool to see this. And I wish more leagues would put on IROC-style races, especially for, Talladega or Daytona, those type styles, or even, races where you do pay or fundraisers. I think IROC is just something that people always, at least in our generation, or the older NASCAR fans, they always reference. Maybe not the newer references. They probably don't remember too much of the IROC series because it ended in 2015 or something, I think. So it's just really cool to see all these paint schemes. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of these cars or these trucks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single truck is painted just a little differently with the same template, just different color codes. And yeah, I mean, Chris Wally and Brian Reek and a few others did a great job in getting all of these trucks together, giving the numbers to everybody that wanted in on this series. And so far, so good. We had a fairly uneventful race last week for the shootout, and so far, so good. 10 laps in, caution-free. I believe by this time last week we had one caution, and then we didn't have another until much, much later on when someone on the outside came down, thought they were clear, but we know how that goes, how quickly the holes that you think you have close up in these long conga lines of Silverados.
Well, absolutely. I think we ended up with like 3 cautions last week, which one was early. I think it was like within the first 6 laps or something. Somebody made a mistake. I think we had another caution where somebody got turned by a bad bump, and then we had another one mixed in there that I think was another bad bump from somebody, and then we didn't have a caution on the big one at the end that took everybody out, essentially, that had to kind of move their way through it if they wanted to finish, which probably would have been a caution if it wasn't on the last lap. But 3 cautions at Daytona, Pete. I've seen leagues where it's 19 cautions at Daytona.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But at the same time, in a league like this, where it is skilled driver after skilled driver filling this roster, you don't see those kind of things. That's why I was surprised Ryan shot the gap real quick. Less than, 8 laps into the race, he shot that gap and went back to the lead. That was really early in the race, where that could have been a huge mistake from the front that could have taken out 3/4 of the field. He only got 1 fast compared to 3/4. So you don't want to use that thing at the end. You want to have it at the end just in case something happens like last week, but not on the last lap.
Absolutely. Robert Hottenbach out there says, get your butt up there, Neil Quick. Right now, Neil Quick sitting P21 right behind Timothy Stubblefield that has a cheering section of his own out there on Facebook, I believe. Let's see. No, it's going to be YouTube from Jessica Stubblefield. So a couple of guys sitting in the back, and Swats, this is believe it or not, this can be a race winning strategy. If you're a little bit further in the back, you're kind of just laying back a little bit, letting the race come to you, maybe get through a green flag round of pit stops or 2, and that way if something happens up front while they're 2, sometimes possibly 3 wide, if they get into a wreck, you have enough time to get on the binders and stay out of it. So these guys back here right now, nose to tail. Again, talking about Timothy Stubblefield and Neil Quick, respectively 20th and 21st. Cook Quick right behind him. So that kind of tells me that it's a brotherly strategy kind of thing. Just staying in the back, letting the race play out. And there's still a lot of miles yet to lap.
I know this strategy from the get-go. I've done this strategy myself. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. It's Daytona, Talladega, those style tracks. iRacing Super Speedway, that's a fantasy track that iRacing has that is not anywhere else. It's just a made-up track. Very small Martinsville style track that is blown out to like 3-mile track. So I know that strategy very, very well. Myself and our good buddy Mike York have run that strategy at many, many super speedways. We did it at the NNR practice season that we did for trucks, and he and I sat in the very back for 90 laps, not taking tires. Just, you know, when there was a caution or when we had green flag stops, just filling the tank. Never took tires. And I wound up actually driving through, I think, your truck or Coey's truck at the very end as we were coming through the finish line to finish P3, and York finished P4. So it's a winning strategy sometimes. Sometimes there's guys out there, like my brother, he's like, I want to be in the front. That's where I want to be. Nothing happens to you in the front. Well, I've watched the front guy get turned over and over and over in multiple leagues where somebody just makes a bad push. So really, to me, there is no exact strategy that you should pull here, because I've seen guys win from the pole. I've seen guys win from last. I've seen guys win from the middle. It does not matter. That's why I said qualifying to me at the Super Speedway does not matter to me for a pick. Doesn't matter.
No, too much, way too much can happen, and usually does. If it's not a wreck, one or more big ones, you're talking about getting on a pit road as aggressively as you can, getting to your box, carrying as much speed, getting out of your box without spinning too much your tires too much, and then of course carrying max speed down pit road on the exit without speeding or getting a black flag there as well. Just way too much can go on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, how many times have we seen the leader come out of pits, go around the apron to go to the backstretch, and flow up the track just a little too much and go over that yellow line and get a black flag? And then the race is essentially over at that point unless a caution break comes for them. So, I mean, from start to finish, there are so many different elements to this style of racing that can affect your race, good or bad. You know, some guys can make a mistake and it benefits you. You could make a mistake and it's going to hurt you. Somebody else could make a mistake and it could take you out of the race. So, I mean, I always, my statement, I know the guys that watch my stream probably hear it enough when we go to super speedways. Super speedways to me is a flip of a coin on whether or not you finish that race or watch it from the garage.
Absolutely. You know, and to kind of sum it all up, Jessica Stubblefield out there, again, on YouTube says, a lot can happen at Daytona. It's anyone's race. Perfectly said. I mean, it cannot be put any better than that whatsoever, as these guys still continue to run side by side. Alexander Brown wants Barney to go ahead and pinch him down. And is also saying Mike Koch is slow. I don't know. Robert Hackenbach saying Neil will be up there towards the end. Race with that guy enough to know he will be up there. And yeah, I mean, I have a sincere belief that anybody can get up towards the front of this race at any given time, whether it's through green flag pit stops or strategy, fuel strategy, 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires. Do whatever you got to do to try to gain as much track position as you can, Kurt, because once you decide to take this 3 wide, it really gets to be a bit more dicey, and man, that's where really anything can happen. But so far, these guys just continuing to stay side by side. No one's really pulling the aggression card just yet. We're not even a lap 20. We're only on lap 18. A long way to go.
Yeah, MP, I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe you know the answer real quick. What is the fuel percentage for this race? Are they on 100% or are they on like a 60 or a 50 or 70?
I believe they are running 70% if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before. As we got a new leader, looks like Robert Barney's going to go ahead and surge on the outside with a big old push from Joshua Funkhauser. Put that 16 up in the lead, but here comes the bottom side again, fighting back with that 33 of Kevin McCann, shoving that 18 for all he could, going through turns 1 and 2 down the backstretch. We are back side by side yet again.
So the reason I was asking about that is because the fuel strategy is going to start coming into play here with 80 laps. If it is on 70%, in my calculations, that should be right around 20 to 25 laps, I think, for fuel. Maybe 27, depending on how they can conserve. A lot of guys will run 50, 60% throttle if they're in the pack, so that stretch it out a little bit. But Pete, you were talking about like pit road strategies and things. I've seen guys that will go as a foursome and pit instead of pitting with the entire rest of the field. Most of the time you would think that does not work out because the field can run faster in the draft. But I have seen 4 guys pit by themselves as a team and come back out and run the field back down because they are that glued to each other and work that well with each other that they can carry the more speed than the guys who are side by side in the big pack. So even that strategy, pitting on Daytona and Talladega Superspeedways, period, is hard enough when it comes to the amount of drivers that could pit at the same time. You could be worried about a guy running you over, a guy maybe ducking underneath you, a guy spinning out, a guy brake checking or going into the grass and trying to make it back to pit road. There's so many different elements. Like I said, that's just pits. That's just getting into pits. That's not making it to your box, making sure you don't slide through your box, speeding, coming out of pit road and not speeding, spinning on the pit or the apron. That's just that part of it. Now you add in the side-by-side racing for 80 laps at this kind of speed with 3 feet, 4 feet maybe separating these cars most of the time. It's crazy.
Absolutely. We're kind of getting down to that long run now. 21 laps again, all green flag racing. If you just joined, again, this is the IROC Challenge Series brought to you by Spartan Transportation LLC, the Hot Dog Stand podcast on Roku TV, and R&R Racewear. But Kurt, earlier in the race, I mentioned that the top side was going to start getting thinned out, and there it is. There's only 6 trucks now up on the high side. The guys up top, when they get up towards the front, they're able to carry that momentum. Tires up there, they're not wearing quite so much as keeping your tires pinned to that yellow line on the bottom. Just look at this: the 5, 44, 14, and 96 charging up towards the 16 at the front, and they're going to be able to carry a little bit more speed. 5 at some point may have a chance to drop on down in front of the 16 as 6 or 7 cars left on the high side, and that's it.
Pete, as you were saying that, I was on Ryan Crooks, who was sitting about 17th. He was on the outside by himself with 2 guys who were behind him now with the, I believe that's the 00 and, of course, the 19 of Byron Jones. Those 3 were back around 17th, 18th, and 19th. With those 6 trucks that you were talking about on the high side by themselves, those 3 just flew all the way up into the top 10. They have now caught the back of the 96 on the top high side, and they just jumped half the field by doing that, by being the only cars on the outside. They got a big pull of a draft when the 96 pulled up. I think the 33 pulled up as well and then ducked back down to the bottom lane. But by doing that, it allowed the 1 to pull draft off that 33, and when he went back down to the bottom lane, the 1's close enough, now he's pulling draft off the 96, and they are going right to the front. Ooh, 5's in the middle, 3 wide with the 18.
Yep, 96 up high, all the way by the wall. Here comes the 1, kind of shades of last week. Ryan Crooks gets a big run, able to find a hole on the bottom side. You mentioned just a moment ago that he was like 13th or 18th. We'll put Ryan Crooks right now up to about P8. So Crooks making some moves in that pink and black number 1. He was number 1 in the shootout. Will he be number 1 and gain max points on race number 1? So far, the 44 Matt Henry says, I got the spot. Now it's y'all's turn to come on up and try to take it from me. Robert Barney, P2. Kyle Pendergraft, P number 3.
Yeah, and not to give too much time to Ryan Crooks here, but what he just did amazes me, and this is what I'm saying about Daytona. There's so many different things that can affect this race. He just jumped in 1.5 laps from 18th to 7th. And now he's moving back up on the high side, and actually, I think he's going to be still 7th or 8th. He just jumped 10 positions in 1 lap. But now 1.5 laps. That's crazy to me, but that's the speed he had.
But now I got to ask you, Swats. You were just talking about green flag pit stops. Here we are, working lap 25 of 80. They're going to have to come on down for green flag pit stops here very, very soon. You don't want to be on that outside. You need to be on that inside whenever or if you're working with any certain drivers to come on down pit road. Are you in communication with anyone to talk about fuel, to talk about tires, 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires? What are we doing here? And if you're the lone driver that's stuck out there with no draft help, you are going to be sitting duck whenever the rest of the field catches back up to you laps later.
Yes and no. I mean, I think there's a lot of strategy in this. The 1 and the 19 have been hanging out in the back for all 24 laps before they just decided to jump all the way up here to the top 10. They've probably been conserving, which means they have at least one more lap that they could go before the rest of the field, or after the field goes. If you're planning on running that extra lap, if you're communicating with the 19, the 5, and the 96, who are all on the high side right now, and you guys are communicating, say, hey, we're not pitting with everybody else, we're going to go together. I just told you earlier that I've seen 4 cars work together and be able to run back down the field. So right now they got 5. The 5, the 96, the 1, and the 19 are now on the outside, and there's one more kind of going back and forth trying to decide where he wants to go here. But if those 5 trucks can work together and the rest of the field pits, they can avoid the other, 19 other trucks on the track pitting all at the same time, and those 5 can run around one more lap, stay glued to each other, and then pit and come back out and stay glued to each other again. Those 5 should be able to, if they do that, work themselves right back into the field. There also wouldn't be side by side once those cars pit. So they're actually going to gain speed with just the 5 of them locked bumper to tail for the most part here, other than maybe a few inches so they're not pushing the pusher. But they can actually run a faster lap without being side by side with the rest of the field. So that's where I would be right now. If I conserved enough fuel for another lap, I would be communicating with those drivers on the high side saying, hey, let's stick together for one more lap after the rest of the field goes down.
Yeah, and that is absolutely possible. As we're looking at the 5, the 96, the 1, the 19, I believe that might be the 18 back there as well. Those guys, 0. What is it? 00? Okay.
0.
Okay. Those guys, we really haven't been talking about those numbers too much as far as being front runners. So they've been back there. They could have been saving a whole lot of fuel. When you're that deep in the draft, you're only about 75% on the throttle until it's go time. So, you got the 5, you got the 1, you have the 19, and now actually only one other. So, looks like that 00 may have decided to go ahead and drop in. Not quite sure if that's still the one.
The 96 that dropped down.
Yep, so 96 dropped in. Yeah, now I see the 00 there. Old buckshot numbers, as it were. And, yeah.
And so the 18 keeps going back and forth. I don't think he can decide which lane he wants to be in right now.
You got to try to find the momentum. And if he's not ready to pit, I mean, there are literally only 4 trucks now on that high side, and the 5 looks like he's getting a monster shove from the 1 of Crooks. The 5 right now was clear to move on in, and it looks like both him and the 1 are going to be able to come on down. That's going to leave Byron Jones out to dry. We'll have to see if the 00 can get a big whiff of the draft, come up behind the 19 and come on in, or will Byron find a hole? Yes, he did. So now just the 00 hung outside. I have a very, very sneaky suspicion, with everybody being on the bottom in one long conga line, that we will be seeing green flag pit stops very, very shortly.
Yeah, I mean, we're on lap 30. It should be within the next 5 laps for sure if they're on 70% fuel. I think 60% is 24 to 27. So if it's 70%, then they should be within that 30 to 35 range. But again, Pete, 5 laps ago, we were talking about the 1 and the 19 being in, 17th and beyond. They're now both in the top 5. So big moves from them. Ryan is probably not somebody the rest of the field wants to see up here at the front right now, since he was very, very good last week. And Byron and him just worked together and went right back to the front of the field just like they did last week twice. They went to the back and came back.
Back at the field's pitting, Neil Quick, Brandon Mefford, Cook Quick, Chris Mefford, and Doug Wysocki all down pit road. Nikki Short out there in chat on the YouTube side says, let's go Team Short, talking about Vincent Short that we're riding around with back here in the 15. I imagine he may be part of this of the next batch to come on down pit road, as it looks like the one of Ryan Crooks, Kyle Pendergraft, Matt Henry, and Dylan Dellinger all going to go around the leader. And yeah, looks like Ryan Crooks, he wanted to lead a lap, get a point, or he may be coming down pit road. Let's see. Nope, he's going to stay out.
Yeah, and P, if I wish we had a chance to go back to see what just happened this last lap as they went into turn one, or as they crossed the finish line, and we're heading right to this section right now that we're viewing. The one was almost sideways from the 14, a bad push from the 14, and the one got sideways, went down onto the apron, and rode all the way into turn one, came back up in front of the 14, and then I don't know if maybe the 14 said, hey, my bad, let's go back to the front, and they both jumped out and went right around the 5. So if we could, I don't know if we can do it, but if you could go back right before turn one after the finish line, you would see the one almost sideways as they were going through there. Somehow he saved it and didn't pull Kyle Busch and ended up hitting the inside wall and breaking his leg. But that was an incredible save. To me, if Ryan wins this race or finishes in the top 5, that's the move, or that's the thing that just happened that saved his race. Whoa, look at the drivers coming down pit road.
Yeah, big clump of drivers. Whoa, Byron Jones getting a little loose off the grass. Looks like he's going to collect just the back end of the 16. 16 is going to go ahead and lock it down, and they'll be able to proceed. Yeah, but that's going to be huge loss for Byron and the 16. Most of everybody else able to do all right. Now, Swats, I'm not sure if that was just a product of adjusting your brake bias during the race, and then when you had to get on the binders, it kind of came around, or if that was just all barely just nipping that grass and sending that 19 around. But in the meantime, David Trumbley in this 96, Dave Brown, Gabe Ellison, Vincent Short, and Peyton Davis going to be your new top 5 as they've been able to stay out. And again, just a whole lot of people that were riding in the back able to save a little bit of fuel, and they will be among the last drivers to go on down pit road for either 4 brand new Eagle Fuel Goods, fill it up with that Sunoco E15 fuel, or just fuel if they need to make up some time. Varying strategies, no real teams. Everybody's in it for the cash. Everybody wants the lion's share of 5K at the end of this season. You're not going to want to share that with anybody when it comes to regular races. Here, you need at least one friend.
Yeah, Pete, I'm going back to look to see what happened with Byron there. The brakes. There was also somebody else, I think it was a 5, that was smoking the tires as he was coming in, and I don't know if that maybe affected Byron's entry into there, and he barely clipped the grass trying to avoid the smoke to see what was going on, and just came back in and touched the 16 there. So I'm going back and looking at it, and Byron smokes the tires into the line, touches the grass, and turns right into the 16 after the 16 was cleared into the pit road. So that's just a simple mistake, but that's what we were talking about pit road as being kind of an essential part with, like, to me, there's 3 parts of this. Actually, there's 4. You got to have friends. You got to make smooth entries into pit road and have pit stops. I'm going to just say pit stops is a whole category. You got to have draft, and you got to have the I don't know if you want to say cojones or whatever to make moves at the end.
Oh yeah, I mean at the end, any deals that you made with other drivers, it's all out the window. You've thrown that out. It's in the draft, and you're gone. You're gonna do whatever you've got to do in order to grab that first checkers of the season. So yeah, there's no friendships in, I would say, the last 10 laps. Now, if you get somebody that is committed to pushing your back bumper, if you're, the McCanns or the Quicks or someone like that, you might have a buddy. But other than that, man, money talks.
Yeah, I agree with the 10 lap thing, but I think for official, it is only coming off turn 4. After turn 4, it is anybody's ride. I don't care if I'm in second and I'm pushing. I don't care if it's my brother I'm pushing. If I'm coming out of turn 4 and I have the chance, or I think maybe somebody will go with me, I'm going to try to go around. It's all bets off on that last corner going to the finish line. I agree, 10 laps, everybody, kind of goes their own ways, but you still look for the people that maybe you've worked with or somebody that you know, or a family member that maybe that's racing, Brian and Kevin. Those are two brothers. If Kevin comes off turn 4 pushing Brian, does he stay with him and say, I'm willing to push Brian to the finish line? To me, that's not how brothers work. That's not how it works between mine, and it just doesn't work that way. Shad's going to try to beat me on turn him. We might help each other all the way till turn 4, and then it's all bets off.
Absolutely. There's no teamwork, there's no team orders, nothing like that in this series. It is literally every driver for him or herself all season long. Again, big thank you to everybody out there. If you just joined, welcome again. This is the IROC Challenge Series presented by Spartan Transportation LLC, the R&R Racewear, and the Hot Dog Stand podcast over on Roku TV. So if you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, or on IROC through Roku TV, again, big thank you, and welcome aboard.
Yeah, Pete, and I'm looking back through here on the track, and obviously we can see Byron with the mistake that he made on pit road right there. He came out by himself and does not have any drafting help. And looking at the way he's trying to catch the 16 too, I think, but he's by himself. Looking at the track times, this is what we're talking about with draft. That's one of the parts I said. Look at his lap time of 52.4. That was his last lap. Look at the leader, 48.9.
Yep.
That's 3 seconds, essentially 3.5 seconds, that he's losing. So he is continuing to lose more and more time. He has caught the 16, which is who he made contact with, I think. Or nope, sorry,
yep.
He does not have the 16. 16's out there with the 51. So the 51 still got somebody to draft with, but Byron's by himself. And within the next lap or two, they may catch Byron and pass him and put him a lap down. He didn't get a penalty for touching the grass and spinning out, but not having a drafting partner is really hurting his chances right now. He's going to have to bank on a caution to get him back in here. Once the field catches him, he'll be able to lock onto the field, maybe at the back of it or something, and ride around until something happens, and hopefully he's not involved.
Well, I mean, his only saving grace could actually be just a yellow, as we're working lap 39 of 80. Next lap will be halfway, so 100 miles will be complete here from Daytona in the season opening race, again, for this IROC Challenge Series. And man, so far so good. I mean, we've seen a whole lot of double wide. We've seen a little bit of triple, but right now it really seems like it's all just one long line of trucks trying to. This is the second pack trying to catch up to that front pack that right now is in the middle of turns 1 and 2 that you see down there on the track map, and that one lone truck that you see right in front of them, that is Byron Jones.
Yeah, Pete, I'm kind of looking here. I was kind of trying to count the cars. There's only 7 in that front pack, but there's about 15 to 20 in the second pack, and they're 2x2 in some cases. If I'm in that second pack, I'd be screaming, saying, anybody in this second pack, get in a line so we can catch the leaders. Because if we don't, those 7 are going to continue to pull away, and at that point, you better pray for a caution because you ain't going to catch them.
Well, I don't think necessarily, if they've got 1 or 2 guys up high, as long as you've got a pretty decent string of trucks on that bottom, really doing everything that they can, not really pushing the pusher so you don't get people out of sorts. But if they got a couple guys in the back, they're maybe trying a little bit of side draft, trying to find an open hole. Nobody on the bottom is really willing to give a spot. Then I don't think that would really stop them, as we're riding on board right now with Brian McCann, and you're about to see this 19 go down 1 lap in just a flash. There he goes.
Hey, Pete, if you could do me a favor and check your messenger real quick. I just sent you a message here.
Alrighty then. I don't see anything, but we'll go ahead and roll on it. If you need to, I know you got a young in there. If you need to step away for your son, but I absolutely get it. Welcome you on back when you're ready to come on back. All right, so again, the
5 minutes, Pete. That's all I got.
Okay,
or all I need.
Okay, that's fine. Take your time. All right, so again, Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, Tim Schofield, Ryan Crooks, and Ryan Honeycutt. Again, are your top 5. Matt Henry, Kyle Pendergraft, Mike Koch, Gabriel Ellison, Brandon Mefford, and Chris Mefford. Inside the top 10 and really trying to do everything that they can to try to pull away from that second pack and do whatever whatever they need to do to make sure that this race is settled out amongst themselves. Let's go on back and check in again with that second pack. They were about a good 11 seconds back, being pulled around by this 00 Spartan machine. You see the 27 right with him as well. It's going to be Gabe Ellison, Joshua Funkhauser, Brandon Mefford, David Trumbley, Chris Mefford, Doug Wysocki, Dylan Dellinger, and Neil Quick. So since seems like we got a pretty good string of green flag laps, working lap 44 of 80, what do you say we go on up, catch up with the leader, and we'll go through the field, kind of introduce you to every single one of these drivers, starting with P number 1. All right, so let's go ahead and switch this up just a little bit. So again, Brian McCann, driver of the number 3 from King, North Carolina. He says, when in doubt, go faster. He started on pole, right now running P number 1. So nothing gained, nothing lost. And again, last season's champ is in a pretty good spot to try to capitalize on the opening race for season 6. Kevin McCann in the 33, right behind him. Brotherly Love up 4 spots so far from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. P number 3 is going to be the 12 of Tim Schofield. He's up 2 spots in this Silverado, doing all right, saying driving a race car is like dancing with a chainsaw. A quote from Cale Yarbrough out of Chelsea, Michigan. Ryan Crooks right behind him in this number 1 from Madison, Alabama. He's up 9 spots, running P number 4. And man, it's a nice looking truck he's got there. Again, the winner from the shootout last week. So far, P4, which I think is right where he was when we had a green-white checker shootout. So can he do it again? Ryan Honeycutt right behind him in this number 18 Spartan machine. And so far, he is down 2 spots. Started in the top 5. We'll have to see. Matt Henry in this number 44. He is up 8 spots, sitting in P number 6. Right behind him, talking about Kyle Pendergraft, and he's up 9 spots from New Albany, New York. Mike Koch talking about this 00 Silverado. He's up 1, sitting P8, and a little bit of a challenge to his outside. You see the 75 and others. 75 is going to be Stoney Benfield from Albemarle, North Carolina. Vincent Short right here in the 15 from Cayuga. Retired Air Force. I just gained a whole lot more respect for this man, being an Air Force veteran myself. Joshua Funkhauser in this number 81, down 2, sitting P12. David Brown in this number 7 and his onboard, down 11 spots. David Trumbley in this number 96. We've seen him up the running order. We've seen him down it as well. Right now sitting P14 from Toledo, Ohio, up 4 spots. Brandon Mefford in the 83, up 5 spots, sitting P15 from Knightstown, Indiana. All about a couple of charities, Zoe's Place and Race for Riley. Chris Mefford right there with him, also Knightstown, Indiana. Falcons Motorsports, Race for Riley, Zoe's Place, Spartan Transportation LLC. But he's up 6 spots, sitting P17. P18 down 11 spots, going to be Neil Quick in this deuce. But again, very whole lot of laps yet to go. Cook Quick back here in the 23. Swats was saying just a little bit ago how much he really liked the color of this truck, and I gotta agree. He's down 8 spots, but Hey, we're only working lap 48, 32 laps to go. Doug Wysocki in this 34 from Belleville, Michigan. Liverfoundation.org, suicide.org, and Ellie's Place. Suicide.org. I believe the number is 811. No, it's not 811. 888, something like that. I'll have to get with them at some point and make sure that I get that out there. But Dylan Dellinger right behind him in this number 5, kind of liking this scheme quite a bit. He is down 9 spots, sitting in 21st. 22nd, talking about the 79, up 2 spots, and that's going to be from Lebanon, Tennessee, Timothy Stubblefield. So Team Stubbs riding in the back of the pack right now, but again, I said it before, say it again, long way to go. Bill Hales down 1 spot in this number 53, sitting 23rd from Mount Washington, Kentucky. Chris Wally right behind him in the 51. Main admin here and owner of this IROC series in cooperation with Spartan Transportation and R&R Racewear, as well as the Hot Dog Stand podcast over on Roku. Behind Chris Wall is going to be Byron Jones a little bit further back, actually quite a bit further back, sitting P25 down 6 spots in this 19 from Goodyear, Arizona, owner-operator of P&D Paint and Designs. You need hero cards or paint schemes, anything like that painted, reach out to young Byron. He'll definitely hook you up. Tell him I sent you. And then, of course, a little bit further in the back, going to be Robert Barney. I'm going to guess he had some kind of an issue. He is 26th in this number 16, and looks like Robert may have had a little bit of a problem. So let's go ahead and get back up front, and that's going to complete going through the field. Back up front with Brian McCann from King, North Carolina. Mays out there says, sheesh, Crooks. Well, Crooks right now up 9, sitting P4, doing a whale of a job. You can't really say much more about that. Again, I believe he was sitting right about P4 during the green-white checker that we had last week for the shootout. I think Crooks is in a pretty good spot. And again, he's got Ryan Honeycutt, not John Honeycutt, sitting right behind him. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens here, but it's gonna be one hell of a race. As long as these guys stay single file, I think they're gonna be just fine. Matt Henry in this mix as well, and when I started going through the field, I mentioned that P8 was about 11 spots behind Kyle Pendergraft. Now they are 15 plus, so this is the second pack. And earlier I mentioned, if there was a truck or two on the outside, they might do all right as long as, they didn't get they didn't put on too much of a challenge. But with the 7 on the outside and a couple others, trying to maybe pull a little bit of side draft or whichever, which basically just going to slow this bottom side down because there's no real push. That's exactly what it's going to do. And as long as those front 7 stay nose to tail, these guys will not catch him. Let's actually jump on with Vincent Short and take a look ahead, see what he's got going through his windshield. And as you can see, he sees absolutely nothing. This is what a 15-second gap and more looks like as he's going to come off of turn number 2. And you can see just a glimpse of that front pack going into 3. So long way to go. All right, so here's your chance, everybody that's out there in chat. Go ahead and crank up your surround sound system. We're gonna go back up with Brian McCann, Tim Schofield, Ryan Crooks, and Ryan Honeycutt, and we'll have a little bit of a session here. If you got that sound bar, go ahead and crank your TV up, whatever you got. Let's go. And with that, we crossed the threshold of 25 to go. Now sitting at 24 to go. And just in front of that on the scoring pylon, if you want to keep up with these guys in everything that the IROC series is doing, whether it's on asphalt, concrete, dirt, or whatever, go on over to iRacing IROC on Facebook. Give them a follow. And man, all kinds of great racing and pretty much every type of discipline. And man, they do one whale of a job. All right, so let's get back to it. Kurt, I think I heard you say you were back, but we've got our top 7 all nose to tail, and they have completely gapped back to P8. We're talking about 20 plus seconds, working on 21 seconds back to Neil Quick, David Trumbley, and Vincent Short.
Yeah, being I apologize for having to step away.
No, man, I get it. Life and family first, dude.
They said.
Life and family first.
But yeah, this is what I was worried about prior to me stepping away, is those 7 or 8 guys getting separation. And if those guys in that second group didn't get single filed, they were not going to run this group down, because they are so closely, sitting together, drafting, that they're just going to gap them. And I know we were sitting there saying that maybe it wouldn't happen because, a handful of guys maybe being side by side wasn't going to pull them back. But you know as well as I do, that second group, when you're in that second group, there's a lot of guys with the mindset of, I don't want to ride here. I want to go up and lead this front pack. I feel like I could be faster. I feel like the group could be faster if I'm the leader. So you see a lot of guys leapfrogging, and once that does that, it just opens up a gap to where the car in front doesn't get a push and pushes the next car and the next car and so on. So it just causes drag on the cars in that second group. And I was worried about it because I was like, they're not getting single file. They're too wide in like 4 or 5 different instances in that little 20 group car or 15 group car or whatever it was. And yeah, coming back after that little break I had to take, and I'm looking at the thing, and yeah, they're 21 seconds back. And to me, that's the worst of it. If I was leading that group right now, like Kyle Pendergraph or Neil Quick or one of those guys, I would be screaming to that group saying, just get single file so we can run this group down. 20 cars or 15 cars can absolutely run faster than 7 if they can get lined out and everybody can stay nose to tail. If you don't, this is what you end up with.
I'll tell you what, I mean, the 2, you see his time there on the scoring pylon, it's actually gaining. And these guys are now in one long line going through the corners. I don't know if the 2's got any kind of damage. I doubt it, since we really haven't had too many issues. Maybe a little bit of a rub on pit road. I don't know. I tell you what, to answer that and to see if he's actually the truck that should be up front, we'll actually take a stroll around the 2's quarter panels. So far, it looks like the left front is all right. Left rear just fine. A little bit of rubber built up around this deuce. Let's take a look at the other side. Nope, right front's clear, and it looks like they're all going to come on down pit road.
Yeah, and I heard him in race chat saying somebody screamed to Neil and said same strategy, same call. So I wasn't really sure what that meant. I assumed that meant they were going to pit together and they just had a strategy worked out prior to the race or something with the group. But I mean, the 15 just blew his stall by a lot, so that's going to affect that group. They're going to have one less truck when they come out because he's going to be a little longer on pit road. But, I mean, looking at the lap times, it's not that much of a gain. Neil ran a 48.9. The leader ran a 48.8. So they're actually losing a tenth. But I think if they would have worked together longer and stayed nose to tail like I had said, they might have, got this down to maybe 10 seconds, because that big of a group can absolutely cut the time off. The fastest lap time of the entire race is sitting at, a 47.5. So you're talking a second, almost 2 seconds faster than what the leader ran. Or actually, sorry, that's a half. A second. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really all about the people that you have to work with, whether you're the, if you're the guy that's getting a little bit of a shove from behind without actually touching. These trucks, they do have that air bubble between them. You don't have to make contact with these trucks or these cars in any form of super speedway racing in order to get a push. You have that shove from behind. That's why the 3. I mean, yeah, right now he's the one on the throttle the most, and all these guys behind him, they're going faster, but they're not able to do enough because that 3 is getting that shove from behind. The 33, his brother, he's staying right there with him. He's not really challenging him, not doing anything like that. I have a feeling we're going to see these guys come on down pit road in a lap or two, but the 33 is staying right with the 3. And everybody else behind knows that the 3 up front, he's last season's champ. Obviously, he knows how to get it done. He's someone that can lead these guys to having a shot at the W when we're done with this in just 17 laps. Hard to believe that in just 17 laps, the first race of the season will be over with already. But these guys carry a lot of speed in the draft. Is kind of what I was getting at, and you don't have to be leading the pack.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, looking at Brian's speed right now, he's running a 183 into the corner, or midway through the corner. And if we go to, like, say, Ryan Honeycutt, who's in this pack, in the middle of the pack, he was running 186. But that's before he gets to the truck in front of him. Then he's got to let off. So that group right there alone is running faster lap times, but they just, that was close coming into there.
That was actually a really, really good, almost looked orchestrated entrance onto pit road. Kind of like the days of old where we would talk to others in team comms saying, hey, I'm going to go high, you go low, I'll go high, you go low. That way you're somewhat staggered all the way through and nobody's running anybody over as they come off pit road. Looks like the 18 is going to be able to lead the way. That's going to be Ryan Honeycutt. Ryan Crooks is going to be a little bit behind him. So I'm going to guess maybe Ryan took 2. Very possibly, and that's going to help him a little bit with grip, and that's why it looks like he's just a little bit behind Honeycutt. But we'll have to see how this plays out. The one will definitely have the 18's draft, and so far they are actually showing to be the leaders, and I don't see any big packs coming up behind them to take the lead from them. Could these two, if they stay hooked up, Swats, can these two try to shoot it out amongst themselves in just 16 laps?
I mean, I don't think so. But it is possible. I mean, Brian McCann and his brother, both Kevin McCann and Brian, they're sitting a little bit off of the 2 leaders. They're not that far off. So, but that's 2 against 2. 2 cars being next, or with 2 cars behind them. That's kind of a wash unless they get side by side. But the Ryans don't look like they're looking to get side by side. The brothers, I'm assuming, are communicating more better than the 2 up here. So they're probably not going to get side by side. They know better. That's how they're going to run down these leaders. And they are getting more cars mixed in. I mean, they've got the 12, they've got the 14 now. That's 4 or 5 cars versus 2. That 4 or 5 car pack, when they catch these 2, I expect to see Brian and Kevin try to make a move and go around these 2. These 2 up front are going to have to either put on a block, try to separate and get too wide so that the next group has to go 3 wide or fall in with one of them. If I'm the one, I pull out right before Brian gets to me. That way Brian has to push me around the 18 and I lead that second pack.
Boy, we've seen some pretty horrific wrecks whenever somebody has tried to pop out a line and pull a block when the truck's coming behind you or cars coming behind you are running 30 plus miles per hour faster. I mean, we're riding on board with the hood of Brian McCann right now, and yeah, they're running them down. They're down to 1.2 and closing, and they've got a lap truck now with him. They were able to get around him. That lap truck right now running right in line. So McCann, and Schofield sounds kind of a little bit like a lawyer firm. They're there. So we're going to find out here in just a moment what they're going to do. Let's get off the hood. Let's see where they go. Looks like they're going to go up high. One smartly did not pop up out of the line, and these 4 are going to challenge on the outside. but I have a feeling this is where they may stall out just a little bit, not really getting any help on the inside from that other lap truck. 14 so far, not clear. 3, 33, and the 12 for a moment thought he was going to be clear and pulled down with the McCann brothers, but not so much. So that broke up that line and kept those two right there with them. 13 laps to go.
Yeah, and Ryan Crooks on the inside, he had a very cautious thought, because he saw the 12 wobbling, and you could see he let off. He got a pretty good gap between him and the 18, who he was right on the back bumper. But that draft with the 3 and the 33 down on the bottom allowed him to get right back up to the 18, and they're going right back by these guys. 3 and 33 move back up to try to gather with the 12 and the 14 to try to get them to get back in line. So they should be able to go right back by the 18 and the 1. But once the 3 and the 33 clear, they have to make a decision. Are we going with the 18 and the 1, or do we stick with the 12 and 14? Right now, they're sticking with the 12 and 14, but, I mean, we've got 12 laps to go, Pete, and you said 10 laps. It's about to be 11 laps. Now's the time to make a decision.
You know what? Earlier in the race, I mentioned something about somewhat of a long run where the high side really comes in and the drivers on the outside start getting a push up towards the front, and they're able to work their way in front of the line of trucks on the bottom. Well, right now the 3 is up there trying to pull a little bit of a side draft. 18 popped up, said, I got this, and picks up a big old shove from the 3. Good hands and great communication between the 3, the 33, and the 12. That could have been really bad, because when the 18 popped up, there was a little bit of an accordion effect, as that line of trucks now up on the high side moving right along. Looks like Ryan Crooks, that was on the bottom side, he's been able to find a spot in P number 5. He's going to pull underneath the 14, and oh, by the way, look who's with him, Byron Jones.
I was just about to mention that, Pete. I was trying to figure out who it was, because it wasn't in the top 10. So I had to think, it might be a lap down car. So I went all the way to the bottom, and it's Byron. And these two worked very, very well last week. Obviously, at this point, Byron's probably out of this, being 2 laps down. He could possibly get 1 lap back if a caution does come out between the other packs. Maybe then come back around to be on the lead lap. But if I'm Ryan right now, I'm trying to communicate with the 19, saying, hey, you're a lap down, push me. Do whatever you got to do. Get me back to the front. And they worked very well last week. We'll see if it works out again for Ryan to get back to the front. But the 18, that move he pulled in front of the 3, if that was 5 laps to go, I don't think the 3 allows that move to happen, or he maybe gives him a little bump and moves him back out of the way, because that was very, very close for the 18 to jump all the way up there.
Yeah, I mean, now we're down into single digits. We've got 9 laps remaining for the opening race here from Daytona in the IROC Challenge Series, and our winner is gonna more than likely come from this pack right here. I mean, you look at the backstretch, you don't see another truck for quite a while. In fact, behind Kyle Pendergraft in the number 14, up on that high side, the next pack is 15 plus seconds behind. Also, as you see there on the scoring pylon, going back to Matt Henry, Neil Quick, and Brandon Mefford, and David Trumbley to round out your top 10. Swats, they are side by side yet again. 1 on the bottom, able to find a hole. Byron Jones able to shove him up there. Looks like the 14 was able to help out as well. That's going to be Kyle Pendergraft. And man, this is last week was the shootout. We might have another one in our hands.
Yeah, and I mean, it's 3 against 4 right now. One of them's a lap down car. So most cases in a lot of leagues, they'll say, hey, when it gets to a certain amount of laps left, lap down car, get out of the way, let the leaders battle it out. But, I mean, I don't think Ryan or Pendergraft want that to happen, because Byron's helping him. Byron's a great pusher. He's done very well. Ryan obviously knows that from last week. The guys on the high side, they know that as well. So they're trying to fend off those 3 on the bottom. And you can see 3 on 4 is usually, hey, the 4 should be able to be faster than the 3. But the way that the 19 is pushing the 1, and the 1's getting out in front of him, the 19 comes back to him and pushes him. Right now the 19's holding back just a little bit, allows the 14 to give him a bump. is going to shove him back to the 1, give the 1 a bump back to the 18. My opinion, the 18 needs to decide. Do I go with the 1 who's very, very fast and won last week with a great pusher of the 19, or do I stick with the McCann brothers and the 12 and see if they can push me to a win? The outside line's usually the preferred line coming off turn 4 on last lap, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, the draft is the great equalizer. So the 4 trucks on the outside, 3 on the inside, I don't think that's really going to matter all that much. I think it's really going to matter how much Byron Jones, talks to the 1 and says, hey, man, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to go full send? Do you want me just to shove you all the way around when push comes to shove? We're on the white flag lap. I can try to get you up there. The 14, he's kind of laying back a little bit. He's not going to push the pusher. He doesn't want to be the reason for a wreck here with 6 laps to go. He doesn't want to possibly wreck out the top 7 drivers. 18 still up on the high side, staying in front of the 3. He knows the McCann brothers work really, really well together. Does the 3 shove the 18 on for the checkers here in race number 1, or what happens? There's so many different ways this could play out. Does the 19 go under the 1? I don't think so. No. Does somebody try to make it 3 wide? I think so.
Yeah, Pete, if I'm the 1, I'm trying to communicate with the 19 to try to say, push me in front of the 18, let me get up in front of the 18, then, you're a lap down car, figure it out on your own from there. The 14's hoping that doesn't happen, and he's hoping the 3 on the bottom can pass the 4 on the outside, and the 14 can get up in front of the 18 with the 1 and the 19 and lead that outside line and hash it out to the end from there. But, I mean, the 14 also, he's losing a position because that 19's there. Because he can't get up to the 1, he's sitting P5, P6 instead of P3 or P4. So there's a lot of different things that can happen here. I don't know if the 19 will maybe move out. Whoa, 18 comes down in front of the 1. That's what I was saying. The 18 had to make a decision. He made it finally.
Yeah, and you can see exactly the reaction that Byron Jones had. He really had to back up off of the 1's bumper, and now here we go. 3 giving the shove to the 1 up on the high side. The 3 is now clear. 33 is now clear. Do the McCann brothers, which I know they're in the same team comms, do they drop down and leave the 1 out to dry? 1 up on that high side. 18 is dropping like a rock on the bottom side. The whole line is now up high. Is the 1 a sitting duck with now 3 laps to go? What's it going to be, Swats?
I mean, we said that last week, Pete, and who came out on top? The guy that was in the first position, because the guys in second and third made contact and spun behind him. So, I mean, thankfully this week it's 2 brothers who are in the same chat communicating with each other. So, in a sense, yes, the 1 is probably a sitting duck right now because those 2 are going to be able to communicate better than any other driver in that front pack because they are in the same chat together. They are brothers. They know how each other drive. They probably think alike. So, it's going to be a question of when do they make it and does the 1 throw a block. He didn't throw a block last week. He said he wasn't going to. He wouldn't have done it, but this actually counts. I think he's going to throw a block.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you'd have to. You're going to make that bumper 3 lanes wide, and you're not going to allow anything whatsoever. You look at Kyle Pendergraft now on the bottom side. He's got some help, it looks like, from that 18. Yep. So it looks like 18 is going to try to shove that 14 all the way up. Now will the 1 come on down and throw the block and give that lane to the McCann brothers, or does he stay high? He knows the 3 taking a little bit of a shot, getting just a little wobbly. 3 is not letting go of the 1's tailgate.
Yeah, the 19 kind of got hung out there with that group. He should have probably ducked down and helped the 18 and 14, but he tried to stay on the 12. Got hung out just a little bit. He's able to get right back to him because they are side by side in front of him. So he is still hooked to the outside, which puts 5 trucks on the outside versus 2 on the bottom. So that should prevail the outside line, especially coming to the finish line. But the 14 just moved up from P6, where I was saying he was kind of hovering with the 19 in front of him, to now fighting for P2 and possibly P1 if the 18 can push him there.
Well, here we go. So white flag lap, checkers or wreckers, 1 on the outside, 14 on the inside. Both trying just a little bit of a side draft. 18 thought about maybe 3 wide right there, middle of the back. One still up high. 3 into 33 now somewhat stuck. They can't dive down and leave the one out to dry. All the 3 can do is push. The one truck won the shootout last week. Does he have enough? Will he have enough push to come up off turn number 4 and take it? Lap down car is going to come into play. Will it be a pick? Let's see. 79. They look like they're going to wreck coming across the start stripe. Who's it going to be? Big wreck.
And the lap down car's wrecked in front of him.
Kyle Pendergraft wins at Daytona.
That was a great win for Pendergraft, but in my opinion, those lap down cars should have got off the track because that was an effect on that entire front group. But I mean, they wrecked right in front of the leaders as they. Luckily, it was right as they crossed the finish line when they wrecked because it got blocked to the wall.
Let's go ahead and switch this around. Go back to Kyle Pendergraft's car while he's getting ready and coming on back to the start stripe to do his burnout. Let's ride along with him and see how this all plays out in his eyes. Wow. Let's actually rewind that just a little bit. You see him flying through the air. At what point did he come across that start stripe? All right, let's go ahead and we'll actually play this in slow-mo. There you see the 79 up top. You see the one of Crooks and the 18 down low. He had them all right behind him, and this is where melee ensued.
And I mean, Ryan comes from home second too. So, and while Ryan Honeycutt also P3, but the McCann brothers kind of got the short end of the stick on that one because those lap down cars, once the 14 moved down, he pulled the draft off those lap down cars, which pulled him right by the 79, who was a lap down truck as well, but it just pulled him faster and faster as he got the draft off of him. So luckily this was the last lap, last corner. If this was coming to one to go, this would have been just horrible for the front pack.
Let's play this one more time in normal speed. Ugh, a lot of tore up trucks. That 18 just getting tossed around like a rag doll. All right, let's go ahead and bring it back live. And looks like the night. Let's rewind and see if we got to make sure that we carry his burnout. I don't want to rob him of that because we were looking at the
Kyle burned him down the front stretch, but he blew his engine doing it. But
all right,
he definitely did a pretty nice burnout.
All right, let's go. There it is. Pop goes the weasel. All right, so let's go ahead and bring it back live. All right, ladies and gents, we will be right back. We're going to grab our top 3. We'll be talking to Ryan Honeycutt that finished P3. Ryan Crooks finished P number 2, up 11 spots. Meanwhile, Ryan Crooks, nothing gained, nothing lost for him. He started P3, finishing P3. Ryan Crooks up 11 spots, but Kyle Pendergraft up 15 spots, and if there was an award for the biggest mover of the night, he would have it. And what a way to finish right in that spot. So, all right, we'll be right back. Don't nobody go nowhere. All right, and we are back. We got P3 sitting with us again. Ryan Honeycutt started P3 in his number 18 Spartan Transportation Silverado. Ryan, you come home P3. Those last 10 laps had to be somewhat hair-raising. Your top side, low side, top side, low side. in the end, a wreck coming to the stripe where some lap cars came to play, and here you are on a podium finish, gonna grab some nice points and a pretty good start for what is pretty much just a chess match at high speeds here at Daytona.
Yeah, the last 10 laps were definitely the key to the race. We had that like 7-car breakaway, 6-car, whatever it was, after the first pit stop, and I had a spotter, and we kind of decided when we were pitting, and we pitted with those, with the 3 and the 33, and then I figured they were going to try to beat me, so I had to try to block the 1, and then that brought me to the back, and then I tried to push the 14 clear so I could pass him, but I couldn't. But overall, good night. We were able to probably get on pit road and get off of pit road the best that I could, no speeding, which was good. And I had a great spotter in Hayden, and we could with what we had.
So now, looking at this long season that means a lot to you and 30 other drivers, give or take, where does this set you with the schedule that we've got coming up here in the IROC Truck Series? Ryan, did I lose you?
I think his mic shorted up.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. I don't know what you guys heard of me.
we didn't hear anything at all. We thought maybe something happened.
Oh, yeah. I apologize. I got disconnected from the race too. Must have lost connection. Yeah, like I said, last 10 laps, Gary. Had a great spotter pushing me around the track. Pushing me. He was helping. Really just moved, and he told me what I had and did what I, the help I had. Just I didn't have enough, friends or pushers back there, and it was just me trying to do what I could with by myself. And luckily I was able to get the 14 to go with me once I fell to the back of the pack, and we were able to push around. But yeah, good night. We were able to get on pit road good and get off of pit road good, able to keep it clean the whole race, and luckily we came home third. My goal is to either win or have a good finish. I told him coming to 10 to go, I said, don't let me wreck myself, whatever you do. And so he helped me finish the race clean, and we got across the stripe, in one piece. After the stripe was a little bit different, but got across the stripe one piece, and we'll get to go next week with a good start this week.
Swats?
Yeah, Ryan, you said you didn't have that many friends on track. Was there any specific drivers in the group that you felt more comfortable with being pushed or pushing them? I said after the race last week privately to Pete that if it was me, I would follow Ryan Crooks anywhere on the track coming towards the end. Was there any specifically for yourself?
There was a few. I know we had a Potter Hayden. I was telling him to watch people, and when people were behind me, I was telling them to write down numbers. I know the 7 at the start of the race was one of the guys. I really wanted Kevin behind me. At the start of the race, he kept me leading the race for a while on that bottom side, which I know is hard. So I liked the way he pushed, but I knew there was no way I was getting him away from Brian. So kind of just accepted that fact and went with whatever I could get at the end of that race. Didn't have many options, so whatever was there, I took it. And unfortunately, that only option was trying to block the bottom, fell to the back, and then at that point I was the pusher and I had nothing behind me, and I was going to try to push Kyle clear and maybe try to side draft him to the line, but we never got that clear, so did what we could.
Ryan, you were one of the drivers that I picked out with the other Ryan and another 2 or 3 drivers that I said to watch for tonight because you were very, very fast, very good last Thursday. You wound up getting caught up in a mess there, but I applaud you for making through this race and coming home P3. It's a saying that I have worn out and probably going to continue to wear out every time we come to a super speedway. But to me, super speedway racing is a flip of a coin. Before, if you finish or you don't. So to 2 weeks in a row, you being really, really fast. Obviously last week, like I said, you didn't have that, finish that you were probably looking for, but to start this season off with a P3, I know it's a super speedway. It doesn't really tell you very much as far as the mile and a half, the road courses, the short tracks, things like that. Does this give you anything for the season based on drivers that you can work with, drivers that you saw that could hold a line? communication with other drivers? Does this do anything for you, even though it's a super speedway drive?
Yeah, super speedways. A lot of people think they're a flip of the coin, like you said, but there is a certain skill that it takes, and so there's a few drivers in here. I've seen a few drivers that I know that when we get to those racy tracks that I can get close and I can race hard with, and there's a few drivers that I've seen that if I get close to them during another race, that I'm going to try to keep my distance. So I just good track to start off with. You can kind of see what everyone's aggressiveness is like, and if they're able to make calculated aggressive moves. And so we got a couple drivers that I have in mind, and hopefully those drivers up near them around the other tracks, and we can have some good races.
All right, Ryan. Good luck next week at Nashville. Hopefully, we'll be talking to you again. Just real quick, any quick friends, family, sponsors you need to get out there, sir?
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys for broadcasting it, these guys for putting the league, Hayden, my spotter. Shout out to a childhood friend of mine. He died this morning in a car wreck. So,
oh, I'm sorry.
Gonna miss him, but it was fun. I appreciate the race tonight, and it was a great finish.
All right, buddy. Again, good luck. I'm sorry to hear about that. Sorry for your loss, but we'll definitely see you next week at Nashville, sir.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
All right, Swats, you're going to get a chance to talk to the one and only Ryan Crooks as we bring him up. P number 2 in that number 1, up 11 spots. Ryan Crooks.
I mean, Pete, I can't say that I didn't call this driver both races to be here at the end going for the win. Last week he got me some points with winning the race, and now this week comes on P2, had a shot at P1. Ryan, what did you need different to happen there? Did those lap down cars affect you guys as much as I feel like they did with you guys coming to around turn 4? Did that affect your choices or plan to maybe go around and make a move there?
As much as I want to say it did, I'm not really sure. The Honeycutt gave the 14 just such a good push through 3 and 4. It really caught me off guard. I really thought I was going to be able to, pinch down and kill their momentum, and then I thought we were going to come to the line too wide and then, run into the lap car. So I didn't know how it was going to end, but the 14 got clear all the way out of 4, and he made a great move moving up in front of me. The 3 did a great job of pushing me, and I tried to give him a shot real hard from behind to see if I could move him out of the way, or just kind of get him to go back down low, and I did. I mean, he held it. And no, I don't think, even if the lap cars are there, it's just a great move by the 14 off of 4. But yeah, what a wild finish. That was crazy, right?
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. Not as crazy as last week, I feel like, with you kind of squirting out of a giant mess that happened behind you. But 2 weeks in a row, obviously finishing P1 and P2, both races at Daytona. I don't want to get people wrong when I told Honeycutt, it's a flip of a coin to if you're going to finish this race or watch from the grandstands at the end. But it does take a lot of skill. But to me, it's a lot of luck. You can have all the skill in the world, but somebody else can make a mistake and take you out of this race. 2 weeks in a row, you make it all the way to the finish line, finishing P1 and P2. How did you accomplish that?
Yeah, there's definitely a level of skill that goes into it, just in terms of how you take risk, when you choose to be aggressive, and when you choose to ride. It's super speedway racing is almost like playing chess, like you said, but with guys like team chess with guys that you've never met. So it's happening at 190 miles an hour. So I think just knowing when to take risks, just watching the pack. One thing I like to do is just watching kind of the high line. If the high line gets going, you just want to watch when guys move from the high line down to the low line. Normally it causes a chain reaction down low, which kills the momentum. Sometimes that's where you can see some of the accidents. So just kind of watching it, timing certain runs. I think I thought I was going to start P1, and I think there was an error with the start of the race. So ended up starting P9. I can't qualify here to save my life. And so, I went to the back of the pack and rode around for a while. And I knew I really wanted to get up in position before the first pit stop, because at these things, at these tracks, Talladega and Daytona, if you hit pit road and there's no caution, it's the likelihood of getting a caution from there drastically decreases. So I knew I wanted to get track position. So yeah, I was just watching the lines. Was able to get all the way up to P1 on the first set of first set of pit stops. No speeding penalties. Locked them up real bad though in the first pit stop. But yeah, yeah, no speeding penalties. And thankfully, yeah, no big wrecks. Even when we were packed up, everybody was. Some guys were swerving, but I mean, for the most part, you know, it's one thing to kind of swerve and not hold a line, but to make some moves that probably aren't the smartest in the beginning of the races, for the most part, everybody did just a great job. So hats off to everybody. And yeah, that was a good run. That was fun.
Well, Ryan, I tell you what, starting off with the shootout, you grabbing the win there. You're all brand new to this IROC Challenge Series. I sent a message to you, just 2 months ago, saying, hey, man, got this going off, looking for drivers. Here you are, your first race runner-up, as our buddy Rick James would say, you know, silver medal in your first real points-paying event. Going on to Nashville, where a lot of people may say the real races start. If you've got a chance to look at the season as it's going to unfold, are there any certain tracks now that you've got a good opening that you'll have to say, hey, man, I'm going to need to turn some extra laps here in order to keep it? Are you looking forward to Nashville? How are you looking forward to the next couple weeks? I'll actually go ahead and bring the schedule back up for everybody, talking about Nashville, Road America, and Dover, just to kick off a few.
Yeah, I mean, these next, I would say 5 or 6 races, I feel very confident in. I love Nashville. Love the tire management there. Very confident in those tracks. I think it's what we got. Nashville. I think Road America. I love road courses. I spend a lot of time in like the in GT cars and IMSA, especially the Cup cars and also the trucks. So yeah, I love road courses. Love Nashville. Feel really confident for these upcoming tracks. Really wanted to sweep Daytona really bad, but yeah, we got close, and it was a great points day. So with these things, I feel like sometimes I either win or I lose. So I mean, with like 7 to 8 to go, I got strung out down the bottom, and I had Byron pushing me, and the 14 was behind him, and I knew everybody up top was pretty much going to stay lined up. And in my mind, I was like, man, I've got a side draft to be aggressive. So I started side drafting a little bit, but then in the back of my mind, I was like, yeah, if I wreck myself, everybody's going to catch up. I'm going to go to the back of the pack and restart, and it could just be terrible. So yeah, it worked out good. Glad I didn't get wrecked until coming across the line. But yeah, I'm happy, and I'm super excited to get to Nashville. That's like you said it best. I think that's when the real racing starts. That's when we separate boys to men. So I'm looking forward to it and excited to get there.
All right, Ryan. Again, congratulations on your run-up. Any quick friends, family, sponsors? Your turn, sir.
Yeah, man. Shout out EMG, everybody that's in the watch party. All the messages from last week and this week before the race has been awesome. Zim, Mao, Ninja, it's been super cool. All the messages. And Glitch Energy, shout out Glitch Energy, shout out Spartan Transportation, shout out you guys. Love going back and listening to the race. It's super awesome. And yeah, just looking forward to next week.
All right, man. Congratulations. We'll talk to you again, maybe again next week when we get to Music City. All right, so we're gonna pull on up the guy that's not only got the W here in dramatic fashion with another explosion at the finish line. Talking to Kyle Pendergraft, up 15 spots in his number 14. We saw just a dramatic finish yet again. Kyle, I got a little bit of a chance to talk to you earlier, and you at first weren't even sure, not quite sure if you were going to be able to make it. Here you are, not only making it, man, but grabbing the first points-paying race of the season. Daytona, you didn't need the shootout for practice or to work with anybody. You were there at the end tonight, sir. Congratulations on this W.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to start talking to you every Thursday. I want to make sure I win every race. No, super speedways are my thing, but I couldn't do it if it wasn't for the 18. I owe it all to the 18. He locked my bumper on those last 2 laps when I went down low, and he just stayed there, and he pushed me all the way around. Had it not been for him and the lead, not even the lead cars, but the cars that were a lap down right ahead of us, pulling from their draft at the same time, I would have never gotten ahead of the one, and we'd have been having a different outcome for sure. But I tell you what, it's been great to win this race. This is the first race I've won since season 1, actually. So it's nice to say I beat a McCann finally. I've been waiting 5 seasons to say that.
Yeah, the brothers are pretty stout, especially that 3 last season's champion. Way to get them tonight, Swats.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and real quick, I just want to say something. With that 18, I know he wanted to go low when we were coming up to 2 to go. Actually, we were about 2.5 to go, and no one went. And I finally said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now because I got to do something. I can't just sit right back here in 5th. And he went with me, and that's how it all happened.
There you go.
Yeah, Kyle, you brought it up, but I asked Ryan Crooks, who finished second right behind you, if that lap down group of cars affected his maneuverability with that group coming off turn 4 as you guys were coming to the finish line, if he had thought maybe the draft had affected or helped or did anything for you or hindered him. He was on the other side of it saying that he didn't think it really did anything, that they were far enough out that it didn't really, do anything to where he couldn't move or anything like that. You just mentioned being able to pull the draft on him. In my opinion, as you guys came off turn 4, that was the best thing for you because it gave a huge roadblock for anybody to make moves, and you were able to just squeak out in front of the one and pull that draft before he was, which then sucked you to that group before they wrecked coming across the finish line. Thankfully, it was right after you guys crossed. But, how much was that? Was it that much of a pull that it definitely pulled you across the one? And do you think the outcome would have been different if that group was not there?
So I really do think that the group of cars had a major outcome or an effect on that outcome, should I say. When we were coming to 1 to go and we were side by side with the one truck, I was kind of the point that, well, I'm either going to finish first, second, or third. I'm probably going to finish second or third to the one truck. But I also looked ahead and noticed that we were catching them at a decent rate. And I knew that some point within the backstretch or turn 3 or 4, we would really catch them and I would really benefit from that if I use it to my advantage. And I kept a straight line as best as I could and kept to the bottom. And as soon as I knew that I was clear of that one truck and we were getting as close as we could to those lap cars, I started to kind of move myself up, and that left the 18 truck no one to really push him. So he's going to fall back. The trucks behind me, they're going to fall in with me, and then I'm just going to snake my way through the lap cars as best as I can.
Okay, so kind of what I was thinking is that was kind of a big help there. But I want to bring it back, a lap or two when the 19 was down there on the bottom with you and the 1. At that point in the race, before you made the other move to go down to the bottom with the 18 and the 18 went with you, were you maybe okay with finishing right there, or was there thought of, if the 19 wasn't here, I could be up fighting for second and third behind the 1 if I could push him? Were you okay with the 19 being there even though he was 2 laps down? Some drivers in some leagues, they throw a fit and 10 laps to go, they want the lap down cars out of the lead pack. They don't want them there. They could affect the race and things like that. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, well, I can use them. So how did you look at that move or that situation during that race?
I had the same view as you have, is they can be beneficial. Yes, they can be a hindrance, but they can also be beneficial as well. So you've just got to play your cards right with it and make smart moves and just hope that they make the same smart moves as well. We all come here with the same intention to win the race. Even if we're a lap down, we still have the same intention to run a good race. So they're going to race you, how they're going to, do what they were going to do to get the next position, should I say. But regardless, they're still there to be a part of it. So they're going to race you clean. They're going to race you hard. They're going to be side by side. They're going to be behind you. They're going to be in front of you. You just got to learn to work around that and use it to your benefit.
All right, Kyle, I got to ask you just real quick then. Next week we're going on over to Nashville, Music City. Whoever wins there gets, that what is it, a Fender guitar or something like that. that track, especially for these trucks, very, very well known for side-by-side racing. Starting off the season with a W, are you looking forward to that race? Are you going to spend a little extra time on track, get a little extra seat time? Or is that one of those tracks that naturally suits your driving style and you already feel confident maybe even going for 2 in a row?
Definitely not confident. The suit my style is the super speedways and the road courses. So I'm really going to have to brush up on Nashville Super Speedway. But all in all, regardless, it's still going to be a good race. It's always a fun track, puts on a good show. So I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to, hopefully go out there and maybe grab a second one in a row.
All right, buddy. Then, of course, last but not least, the floor is yours. Any friends, family, sponsors, sir?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Spartan Logistics, Mr. Chris Wally, also for putting us on. And, he started this whole thing several years ago, and it went from, just a handful of guys to what it is now. It's an awesome league. If y'all haven't, be sure to check out the IROC Challenge Series. You can find the website at IROC-series.com. And check out our website. We've got a lot of great things on there as well. If you're interested in joining, I'm sure we'll be starting to take applications for season 7. So that's all I got for now.
All right, yeah, I'll actually put that IROCseries.com out there in chat for everybody. That way everybody's got a chance to go on over, check them out, and keep up with everything. As well as, on Facebook, iRacing IROC. That link was on the scoring pylon all race long. You'll actually be able to go ahead and click on that. There's several people that have been out there all night long from both Facebook and YouTube, so definitely appreciate all the patronage there. But man, congratulations to you, Kyle, and yeah, we'll have to talk again before next week.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one. You
got it. All right, he was talking about all the sponsors, Kurt, and of course, we couldn't do it without quite a few. One that wasn't mentioned, of course, was R&R Racewear. Go on over R&R Racewear.com for anything that you need, whether it's ball caps, t-shirts, die-cast, whatever. Go on over, look them up. All kinds of apparel and collectibles that can fill that need. Actually, I'll go ahead and put that link out there for everybody also right now. There you go. And also, as Kyle said, talking about Spartan Transportation, SpartanLogistics.net. I'll put their link for everybody now as well. And then, man, what a great race. All in all, aside from R&R Racewear, of course, I mentioned them earlier, the hot dog stand. You've seen their emblem or their graphics showing up in the top right-hand side all race long. Hot Dog Stand Podcast is on Roku TV, so whether it's your favorite Roku TV or Roku streaming device or just the app, go on over, search them out. All kinds of great content, NASCAR drivers, season information, the hot topics of one of our favorite sports all season long. And then again, of course, for SpartanLogistics.com. Spartan Logistics is a management company you'll find combined for 75 years worth of experience among our logistics specialists. Through their team, you can rest assured that your freight will always be managed safely and with the highest of priority. They are constantly innovating to refine their processes to ensure that you and your customers are given the highest quality of service. Their dedicated logistics specialists will always be readily available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to your concerns or questions. Through technology, you never have to question your freight if it's been picked up, delivered, or billed. They'll provide you with full service tracking from start to finish. Again, Spartan Transportation LLC, look them up. If you need anything moved, everything from Missouri all the way to Ohio, the East Coast, wherever, look them up and you will not be sorry. Kurt, one hell of a race. First race of this 18-week season in the books. Kyle Pendergraft, Ryan Crooks, and Ryan Honeycutt are our top three. You mentioned that you did kind of shout out the Ryans earlier, but Ryan Pendergraft comes up and grabs the checkers.
Yeah, I mean, to quote a movie, are you not entertained? This thing was, it was fast. It was entertaining. There was, drama at the end. There was strategies being called all over the place. We had brothers working together. We had guys who didn't even know each other working together. I mean, this is just the first race of the season, and this was entertaining as could be. Pete, I'm excited for next week's race at Nashville. It's a track that I'm not very well driving myself, but there are a lot of drivers that I am very entertained to watch when they do drive it. They're very skilled. It's a very tough track, especially 3 and 4. It's two different sides of the track. You've got 1 and 2 that's a little different than 3 and 4. It's a little flatter in 1 and 2. So it's going to be a difficult track for guys who have not put the time in. I expect these guys who have a high level of skill to go out there and start working tonight or tomorrow and start working towards that next race next week. If this is the first race, I am excited to see this thing all the way through to the end, and I'm kind of blown away by the entertainment and the skill that we've seen on the track tonight and the level of respect a lot of the drivers had too. So thank you again for bringing me up into the booth. Thank you for Spartan and IROC TV for allowing me to come up here, and I'm going to keep saying it. Thanks for Byron to go into the track. Unfortunately, he had a bad race tonight, finishing, I think, 28th, but he obviously helped the 1 and the 14 there at the end. So he's a driver to watch for the rest of the season. This one race does not determine your entire season.
There you go. And yeah, definitely appreciate everybody that's been out there in chat all night long, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, over on IROC TV, through Roku, and of course on Twitter. Thanks for coming out, hanging out, chatting it up, keeping me and Kurt company all race long. We will see you again next Thursday night from Music City. Nashville Superspeedway will not disappoint again. Like I mentioned to Kyle, the track favors a lot of great side-by-side racing because it can be very, very hard to pass. We will see you then. In the meantime, please stay safe, do take care, and we'll see you somewhere around the track. Later.